Now, I know what you're thinking. Ooh, if he doesn't talk about the performance issues, price point, and blatant negligence the dev team is displaying, I'm gonna riot. And, well, unfortunately, no. I'm not gonna be talking about that. While most of those issues are very prominent and do take away from the ability to enjoy the game, I not only think those points have been beaten into the ground, but I also don't think that's what's stopping players who have already spent 70 to 100 hours in the game from wanting to continue. What I've noticed is the actual mechanics and systems put in place within the endgame are what's making a lot of players not want to keep playing after their first few volatile or deeply volatile hunts. And frankly, I'm one of them. If I wasn't enjoying making this content, I probably would have also quit. But what specifically is causing people to want to drop it when something like Monster Hunter Rise has a very similar endgame, yet people want to play that for thousands of hours? To me, the biggest reason is the investment. It simply doesn't feel worth it to farm out all of those location orbs, to then farm a deeply volatile kimono, only for a chance to roll a decent enough skill on a talisman to slightly increase my damage. Whereas with Rise, although the grind feels longer, I can immediately see the bonuses to my weapon and armor while being able to guaranteed upgrade them after I farm enough resources. Everything I do is down purely to how much I farm, not how lucky I am to get the right skill with the right percentage to fully min-max my character. More issues start to come up when you take a look at the armor cladding. A recent common aspect to Hunter games is the ability to customize and decorate your Hunter with what's commonly called layered armor, or transmogs for you WoW players. Who's with me? Normally, it only requires a few pieces of a monster to make armor that will change what visual armor you have on your Hunter, which allow you to make an aesthetic to reflect who you want to be. Wild Hearts, however, went a little overboard with their commitment to the grind. Not only does the armor cladding require a ridiculous amount of a specific rare drop from the kimono's armor set you want, but that rare drop is not even guaranteed, and can only be farmed from the volatile versions of that kimono. And without some clever manipulation, the volatile kimono will rotate after a few hunts. As someone who doesn't fully enjoy the armor aesthetic in Wild Hearts, I still would like to at least make my Hunter look better than a peacock with gem boots and gem gloves, while not having to spend more time farming the armor cladding than I did my final weapon. Which brings me to the last system I feel like is important to discuss: the weapons and builds. You can spend your entire playthrough of this game playing with one single weapon forged, and still not be anywhere close to your final design once you reach endgame. I should know, I did this with Clawblade. But if you want to try out another weapon, or found a unique path you want to try out, you end up having to spend a lot of gold and resources to make a whole new weapon, and then bring that weapon to the level of being able to come close to taking on more volatile kimono. While this isn't necessarily an issue for a lot of people, because a large selling point to hunting games is the promise of a massive grind, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be people who are turned off by just the sheer overwhelming quantity of materials they will need to farm just to get a breath of something new that might have kept them going for longer. One of the things I try to stand by is, if you're going to say something negative about a thing, you should also take a moment to say something positive about it as well. That ends up being really hard when talking about the endgame. The first thing that really comes to mind is, at least the kimono are harder. I really enjoy the challenge of hunting games, and being able to solo a large majority of this game without losing a life thread took a lot of the fun out of it for me. And other than a difficulty increase that not everyone will welcome, it's hard to find much else that is actually good about the endgame. If I were to put on my game dev hat and come up with a way to keep a large majority of the player base from getting burnt out or frustrated with the talisman grind, I'd honestly like to see an option through the bright and powerful Tsukumo that would allow me to target certain skill groups in talismans just to get an increased chance for what I want. The Wild Hearts endgame feels like a mesh of hastily put together systems they saw in other Hunter games that just didn't get the attention or love that it deserved. Now, I do want to say I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough of Wild Hearts, and I absolutely love both making content and interacting with the community. I can find the motivation to push past all these downsides and continue playing, purely just to keep experiencing the parts of this game I enjoy. But on the same note, I don't blame other people for not wanting to play anymore. It's really hard to find that kind of motivation outside of just completionist goals or wanting to play with or make new friends. If you've continued playing through the endgame or couldn't push past it yourself, I'd love to know why. I like seeing how others think, and these are just what I felt lulled me from wanting to open the game again after my first few deeply volatile hunts. So now comes the part where I do the whole thing of, if you enjoyed this video, it actually does help me a lot if you like, favorite, subscribe. I don't even know if favoriting's a thing, but also just sharing this and seeing if you can get other people to chime in and see how they felt. I've never been really good at this. And this video kind of feels like a big downer to me. I don't enjoy that, but I feel like it needs to be discussed. I've been seeing a lot on the Reddit about people who have really enjoyed the game up until the end game, having to just put it down because they couldn't bring themselves to continue on with it. And that's just really sad to me. I really want this series to progress and continue, but if they can't do something to actually fix the parts that keep people playing, it's hard to see a future where we see a Wild Hearts 2, or where people flock back to it every new content or title update. So, those are just my thoughts. I do hope you still enjoyed this downer of a video, and if you didn't, that's okay. I plan to make a bunch more videos that will be much more lighthearted and not so sad. And it could just be me feeling sad, I don't know. I don't like seeing this game kind of take the downturn it's taking when I want to just see more of it. So, like I said, if you could subscribe, like, drop a comment down, the whole basic algorithm dumb shit that we have to do, I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy your future hunts. Take it easy.